Hi, everyone. Welcome to Two Guys Talking Sports. Jordan, down to 4 teams. And
I think we need to talk about what we're really down. Our counterparts on the local taste, they came, they took our microphones. We've been doing this for years now. They took our
somewhere in the
microphones.
bush.
They go one time out of the studio, boom, lose the microphone. So now we got Taco here with a microphone on his ear, hoping everybody can hear us.
Yeah. And we can only blame that on Landry.
Right.
Can't blame Ben. Ben would never do anything like that.
No, Ben didn't.
But Landry, he probably took it home, threw it in the bush somewhere, and just looks at it every day and laughs.
So we don't need this.
Yeah. But let's talk some football.
Before we talk football, did the Cowboys win?
No, they didn't.
Okay, just making sure. And they're not going to win tomorrow either, though. So
yeah, we'll see. We want to thank our sponsors, Anderson Brothers Bank, Dillon Internal Medicine, Feed & Farm, and also Marion Tire. We're going to do it a little bit different this week. On the first episode today, we're going to cover Coastal and also Dillon. And then on our episode on Thursday, Thanksgiving Day at 3:30, we're going to talk Clemson and Carolina. So let's jump in. Coastal Carolina takes on Texas State, and they get the victory 35-28.
The shocker here was Grayson McCall.
Yeah. We thought that he was probably done for the year.
Right.
2 weeks ago, it was he may come back, he may not come back. Last week, we were told,
he
got
was
information that he was done for the year. I turned on the game.
And there he is.
He's out there slinging the rock everywhere, going 22 for 28, 319 yards, 5 touchdowns. Then he did it with his legs, too, 12 carries for 53 yards, and he was the offense.
But we need to focus in a little bit. He stays efficient.
Yeah.
He 22 of 28, 6 incomplete passes. I'm sure some of those were a scramble or throwaway.
Yeah.
He stays efficient. And that's what's really helped this Coastal offense all year is how he can control the ball. He can control the game.
Right.
He makes passes when he needs to. He picks up the ground, the yards on the ground with his legs. And Coastal gets to win.
Yeah. And like you said, the efficiency, especially after coming off Willie play injury, been out for 2 weeks.
Right.
Knocking off the game rust, no telling how much he actually practiced in the week coming up to the game. But we've seen this before with him. He had earlier in the season, he comes out in pregame warm-ups with a boot on, and then he lights it up that game as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very dynamic football player. And you also see Shamar Jones had 23 carries for 93 yards, so the rushing game was open up for them as well.
Yeah, they've only had one game all year where they weren't able to run the ball the way they wanted to, and that was against that App State team that we all knew was going to be tough for them.
Right.
And eventually they ended up with a loss in that game, but picking up a big win here, getting to 9-2 on the year. 1 game left this coming up Friday night against South Alabama. Probably going to play in the conference championship game. And then, if you get two wins here in the last game in the conference championship, you could see them playing in a big-time bowl game.
Big-time bowl game. So I'm pretty sure that's what Coastal, they've got their sights on right now. They didn't want those 2 losses on the year that they do have. However, if they can pick up a win the next couple of weeks, I see them in maybe a New Year's Six bowl.
Yeah, and Chadwell has said that he hasn't heard anything from other schools, but they definitely got their eye on him. And if he gets to a New Year's Six, and even if they don't win, if he competes well in that game, in a smaller school like Coastal, they're going to snag him up, and I wouldn't blame him for jumping up.
Ringing off the hook.
Oh yeah. So Coastal will play on Friday this week at 3:30. They'll play any day of the week.
That's right. They spot the football.
Yeah. They're favored by 15. And I'm going to go with the Chanticleers with Grayson McCall playing the way that he is. Like we said, they've got to pick up some, they want to pick up some big wins here at the end of the year to try and get into a big-time bowl game. I think they'll cover.
Yeah, it's hard to bet against the Chanticleers, especially when Grayson McCall's at the helm. Give me the Chanticleers.
The only thing that I don't like seeing from the Chanticleers here recently is their defense giving up a lot of points.
Yeah, that's not a good not good for the Chanticleers, but that offense it stays rolling. So
yeah, if they can get back to holding teams to 10 points, 14 points. They know their offense is going to put it up. They'll definitely win some games if that defense can get back clicking the way that they were at the beginning of the year. Let's talk about Dillon. I picked them to lose against Oceanside, and I was wrong.
You were wrong. You did not have a very good week last week, it seems like.
I picked Clemson. No, I picked Wake Forest. I picked South Carolina to win. And I picked Coastal to win.
Right.
So 2-2.
Right, yeah. Dillon. So Jack Grider, 9 of 16, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. We expected that. This is what we didn't expect. 11 carries for 103 yards and 1 touchdown. That's huge. Nemo Squire, he was contained.
Yeah.
14 carries, 50 yards, and 1 touchdown.
And, that was a big thing that I mentioned the previous week. They've always ran that offense through Nemo. He's always been the biggest name on that team. What happens when a team focuses in on him and is able to shut him down? Oceanside did that,
Correct.
And Grider stepped up and said, "That's okay. I'll carry this team. Put them on my back."
It was a great performance from Grider. Just 103 yards on the ground on 11 carries.
Yeah.
You're talking 10 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Right at it. I was watching the stream for the second half of the game, and Grider was throwing it around here or there. He was very accurate with his passes. But I was listening to the announcers for Oceanside, and they said, we're beat. We have no answer for this offense. They said, we've spent all week focusing on Nemo, and they come out and just get absolutely demolished by Grider. So congratulations to the Cats. I look forward to watching them play this week in Lower State.
Yeah, and that was a big test that I wanted to see, and they passed with flying colors. What happens if Nemo's able to be stopped? So now you're showing teams, hey, you can focus in on one of us.
Right.
If you want to try and stop the passing game, that's okay. We'll just run it down your throat. And
right.
we can do it with our quarterback or our running back.
That's right.
And if you want to try and stop the run, that's okay. We'll just throw it all over the field and beat you.
That's right.
The next test that Dillon's going to have, first time in the playoffs, traveling outside the White Walls. But the way that they're playing with Grider and with Nemo, I don't think they're going to have any problem with Camden.
Yeah, I was getting it explained to me the other day because, you got a region champion, you have an undefeated football team, and they're going to have to travel down to a 10-2 Camden team. So the way that it's set up is set up in 4. So one year you'll be home all throughout the playoffs. The next year you'll be home through Lower State, or there'll be 2 or 3 games you have to play, and then you travel. But the way that it rolls back around, eventually, if Dillon can keep going, they will have home field advantage. I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after.
And the producer should just put up that Zalt Galifianakis gif of all the numbers and equations, because that's all over the place. That's the South Carolina High School League. We've talked about them before.
That's what he should have done last week when you brought out a poster board of how Oceanside Collegiate was going to beat Dillon. And you were wrong. I mean, you were absolutely incorrect on that. In the 5+ years I've been doing this, I don't think I've ever picked against Dillon, but you pick against them every chance you get.
Every now and then you got to take a chance.
Stephen, you came in with your paper turned sideways, and you had like a graph and charts about Oceanside beat this one, they beat this one, they almost beat this one, who beat this one, and I was like, how did you have that much time to do that and still be wrong? You put in that much knowledge and we're still wrong.
Well,
good job, I guess.
You got a child that wakes up at 5 a.m., you got extra time every now and then.
It must have took you all week to do that.
Well, and it didn't help me none because I still got it wrong.
No.
But yeah, Dillon is going to win here. But mentioning that South Carolina High School League, we've talked about the way that they've done this and that in the past. It just doesn't make any sense to what they're doing.
It's hard to figure out high school league, but I'm going to take the Wildcats this week. Like I said, I don't bet against them.
Because I want to say a few years ago they were undefeated and they came into the playoffs. They played one game at home and then they were away the rest of the playoffs.
That's what they were trying to explain to me, how it circles around every 4 years.
Yeah, it just don't make any sense. And how do you keep up with that team? Because let's just say Camden ain't made the playoffs in 4 years. How do they automatically get home field?
Because the lower state and the upper state are broken down into 4 regions, and that's how it goes. But now, if somebody upsets, so somebody in the upper state is like a 3 seed, and they upset the number 1 seed. Dillon being a 1 seed, I think it could flip and they could come back home. I mean, it's crazy how it all worked out.
I can tell you what Dillon's saying about it. Just spot the ball.
Yeah,
tell us where to go.
They're going to get on the bus. They're going to go to Camden on Friday night.
Yeah, Dillon's going to come away with a victory, I believe, and they'll travel and play for the state championship next week. So good luck to the Wildcats. Join us Thursday at 3:30 for our Clemson and Carolina recap, and also we'll make our picks for the Palmetto Bowl.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Two Guys Talking Sports. Stephen? Our sponsors this week are going to be the City of Dillon, the Wellness Center and Golf Course, First Citizens Bank, and Dillon Tire Superstore. I know Josh, he does a lot for the community. He has that. I know you do some business with him. I do some business with him. If go see Josh at Dillon Tire Superstore and tell him we sent you. Let's jump right into this Clemson, South Carolina, since we're doing it a little bit different this week. Clemson 7-3 takes on number 10 Wake Forest and wins 48-27.
Clemson was favored going into this game.
3 points.
Didn't make sense. Wake Forest has been playing well all year, and Clemson finally puts up a game that people have been waiting for all year.
Right, and then as a Gamecock fan, man, you hate to see it.
Yeah.
You hate to see it. That's the first time all year that Wake Forest has scored under 35 points.
Yeah, and for Clemson, they're 8-3 on the year now, which is a really good season. Obviously, they're not going to be able to go to the national championship.
They still got a chance to win ACC.
Yeah,
and need a little help.
Crazier things that couldn't happen, but in the grand scheme of things, still a great season for them. But when you look at each game, they have struggled, and they've barely come out and gotten a win here or there on a missed field goal or a botched snap or something like that. Either way, a win is a win, but this is finally when they got a win that looked like a convincing win that you're used to seeing Clemson in the last decade and how they play.
Right, with scoring almost 50 points.
Yeah.
DJ went 11 for 19 with 208 yards, 1 TD, and 1 interception, and Shipley was the man of the day with 24 carries, 112 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Actually, if Pace went 24 carries, 191 yards, and 2 touchdowns, he wasn't the man of the day.
Yeah. I think that was really the key for Clemson is that, and people have been, on Facebook, Clemson fans have been saying it all year, we got to run the ball. We got to run the ball.
That's over 300 yards on the ground.
Exactly. And they finally had a game where DJ didn't have to throw a lot, 19 attempts. He still, wasn't crisp.
He still struggles with his accuracy.
Right.
He does that.
And I was listening to a breakdown and they were talking about the Clemson-Carolina game and how Carolina may be able to combat him on defense. He's a one-read quarterback, and it's just what it is. So he's going to make the first read, and if he looks to his right, he's going to the right.
That's right.
And as a safety, you can pretty much say, all right, he's not going this way, I'm going there. And, that's been his problem all year. When you can't look the safety off, when you show people, okay, I'm going to this side of the field, you have to make a perfect throw when you do that, and he hasn't been able to do that all year.
If people sitting at home can see that, how has he not progressed throughout the year? Why have the coaches not been helping him progress? Because they don't want to win. I mean, they don't want to lose. Yeah. That's not what they're there for. They're not there to lose. Losing's not something that Clemson's been accustomed to here lately.
Yeah, I think in the way that Clemson's offense, from what they do a lot of screens, they do a lot of quick passes, they do a lot of, go routes. So their offense is kind of built to make a one-read, decision. And it's kind of – those are things, mechanics, stuff like that you can kind of tweak during the year. But, making reads, that's kind of stuff that you got to do in 7-on-7, no pressure, when we can just work on this day after day after day, all day long. Instead, they're having to put in a game plan for each team, and it's hard to game plan while also fixing your reads. So – I think that he, has done well enough to get them to 8-3.
Yes.
I just think the only way that South Carolina is going to be able to beat Clemson is if they.
Before we get into that, let's jump on to South Carolina. Congratulations on the wins for Tigers.
Yeah.
South Carolina 5-5 football team took on an Auburn 6-4 football team and came out victorious 21-17, and now the Gamecocks are going bowling.
And it didn't start off pretty.
No,
they got down 14-0.
They fought back, and that's very uncharacteristic from a Gamecock football team. From what I've grown up watching, if South Carolina ever got hit in the mouth, they weren't coming back.
Yeah, and I think that that's a big thing about this Shane Beamer team because even in the games that they've lost, they have done that. They'll give you 4 quarters. And, even in that Missouri game, we never had a chance to win. But it ended up being like a 4-point game because they just keep fighting back. They're not going to give up. Same thing with the Florida game. They hit 2 big plays, at the beginning of the game and we're up, and then you end up routing them. That's one thing that I can say about this Gamecock team, and especially at home. 5-1 on the year at home. And the offense is running through Zaquandre White.
Yeah, but Jason Brown was 10-15 with 157 yards and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. So nothing spectacular there, but he didn't have to be spectacular. Zaquandre White, 16 carries, 99 yards, 3 catches, 69 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, it's the same thing we talked about with DJ. We kind of said, hey, we got to win this game by running the ball and then have our quarterbacks make plays when we need them to. And both quarterbacks this week were able to do that. And I think it's going to be the same game plan coming in. Can South Carolina stop Shipley and Pace?
They stopped Tank Bigsby.
Yeah, and on the opposite side, Clemson, can they stop Zaquandre White, Kevin Harris, Marshawn Lloyd? You know, you got a slew of – oh, yeah. And then you also got, put in Joyner for some gadget plays and stuff like that. So
what I liked about this Gamecock offense this week against Auburn was they saw Zaquandre White was hot, and they fed him the football.
Yeah.
They didn't – it was like I said, it was pretty uncharacteristic because usually they're swapping backs in, swapping backs out.
Right.
But they let him get in a groove, and he did well.
I think in some instances, even if they wanted to swap out, he wasn't coming out the game.
No.
I saw him many times. He would break a run or he, catch a pass on the sideline or something like that. Stay off my field. This is me. I'm going for this one. And that's what you want to see. And, he has been pretty much the feature back all year. In the games that we've won, he's been our guy.
Look up his story.
What's he doing?
Just look up his story when you got time. Just from high school to now, just look up his story. It's pretty incredible.
I know that he went to Florida State.
Yeah, pretty incredible. I think he got into some trouble, and then he went JUCO, and now I think he's turned everything around, and he's playing football.
I know that he was suspended one time at Florida State,
right,
for punching a Clemson player.
Well, and I guess he can get. Never mind, we didn't go into that.
So it's a big week. Clemson 8-3 taking on South Carolina 6-5. The good thing for the Gamecocks is when that Auburn game, pressure's off of making a bowl game. You know that you got.
I'm not going to agree with you there. I'm not going to agree with you there. The pressure's off as far as getting bowl eligible, yes, but the pressure's on to beat Clemson because they've been beating us like a drum for the last 6 years.
For sure, there's always pressure to beat Clemson, but you knew that if you didn't beat Auburn, the only way to get into the bowl game was to beat your in-state rival that you haven't beaten in 6 or 7 years. So at least you can take a little bit of that pressure off to know, all right, we still get to go bowling. For the coaching staff, you get that extra 2 to 3 weeks of practice with these young guys.
Right.
I really don't care about bowls, but that is the big thing, especially for an incoming staff, to be able to have those extra weeks of practice.
Right.
But Clemson favored 11.5, games at 7:30 Saturday night.
When did the line drop to 11.5? Because it opened up as 14.
It opened up as 14, and then I'm assuming that the money just is 80% on Clemson right now, so that's made that line drop. I think that if the Gamecocks, if you get the Florida Auburn Gamecocks at home, and you get that crowd in it early, now you can't get down real big and the crowd,
Clemson has a stout defense, so this isn't a team that you're going to get down 3 touchdowns and can come back on. You're not going to be able to come back on Clemson with a big lead.
This is the week that Satterfield, he's just going to open up the entire playbook. They're going to say, what trick plays you got?
I hope not.
Whatever trick play that you got to be able to use it.
I hope that he has some sort of game plan. His game plan's not, let's see what trick play. I hope that he's done his homework and has figured out do we need to run the ball? Do we need to pass the ball? Is it a combination of both? How do we need to attack this Clemson defense? And there's 3 losses. That Clemson team has 3 losses.
Yeah.
He's got some film he can study and find out what they did and how they did it.
Well, the big thing for him, like I just read before we started filming, he has years of tape that he's been watching on Clemson's defense and Brent Venables and the tendencies that they have to do.
We don't need to know what Brent Venables did 10 years ago. We need to know how he lost 3 games this year.
Well, they're watching that, but what I'm saying is you can find tendencies that he does year after year when he does, okay, 3rd and short, what's he going to do? Okay, 90% of the time over the last 10 years, this is what he does.
I understand that.
That definitely helps.
But we need to focus on Saturday and winning the football game.
I think the big thing is, like with Auburn, you got down 14, but you still continued to run the ball. You didn't get away from it. You didn't abandon your game plan and hit the panic button.
I hear you. I do. I hear you. Auburn's defense is not better than Clemson's defense. If you spot Clemson 14 points, that defense is stingy.
You can say that, but Auburn's definitely faced tougher competition.
But you're talking about a number 10 Wake Forest team that has scored 35-plus points on everybody this year. And they scored 27 against Clemson's defense.
They're right at their average. You got to come out and get the crowd.
If we're going to give them right there their average, you might as well give the game. Those 4 points that we gave to Wake Forest to get them to where they need to be, beat Missouri.
Well,
it doesn't work.
You just tell us what they got to do to win.
Play football. That's what they got to do.
I think they got to be able to run the ball. and run it well. Like that, in every game that we've won, we've been able to run it well.
I think that they need to capitalize on what Clemson's defense will give them.
Yeah, and then defensively, they've got to
win the turnovers.
Yeah, bingo. DJ is going to give you chances.
He will.
He's going to give you chances to pick it off.
He will.
And South Carolina, they have the leading interception guy in the league or in the SEC.
Here comes some more of your stats.
Well, I'm just saying he's a ball hog.
I get it.
Sometimes he's going to get burned, but if you give him opportunity, he's got sticky fingers. I think they're going to get some turnovers. When you get those turnovers, you got to score.
That's right.
But I'm taking the Gamecocks. I'm never taking Clemson over the Gamecocks.
Yeah, I'm not taking Clemson over South Carolina. Give me the Gamecocks.
There you have it. 7:30 Saturday night. We'll see what happens. Thanks for sticking with us. We'll see you next week.